Welcome to the No Limits podcast with your host, Willy.
All right, we're back. No Limits with Willy, episode number 23. 23, yes. We are outside the castle walls with the peasants, with the magnificent Alex Hooper.
Yeah, happy to be here amongst my fellow peasants.
We're with the peasants today, man. We have to entertain them. So how's Alex doing post America's Got Talent?
Oh, I'm feeling just dandy. You ride that wave as long as you can. You get a lot of nice accolades. You get a bunch of new fans. And then you just try to keep the momentum going. And I've been fortunate that I've had some work come in and I'm able to just keep myself together and stay happy. And I took a little vacation right afterwards and it's been great, man. I have so much time these days and just figuring out how to fill it productively is difficult, but I'm also staying very relaxed. So, there's a lot of reasons why I could say this year is terrible. And there's more reasons why I could just say, yeah, well, we're still here and we got to keep having fun.
Yep. Where'd you go on vacation? Did you just take time off?
Yeah, I just took a few days. I went to Sedona, Arizona for a 3-day weekend literally right after AGT, so I could go decompress in the desert and just get all that craziness away from me. Because it was 2 weeks straight of being on my phone for 8 to 10 hours a day, responding to messages, getting people to vote. And then on top of that, then there's just AGT is just so high stress when you're actually there, because you have to do so many things and there's so many people running around we need you here. And it was just nice after that to just be get all of that out of me and just go, trip in the desert and dissolve into 1,000 pieces and break yourself down into nothing all over again.
Nice. Did you do some psychedelics in the desert?
I did. I often do when I go out to the desert. It's I often, it's there. I love doing them. I like expanding my mind. I like dissolving my ego is the main thing, is just if I start to feel important in any way, I'm just well, we're going to have to shoot this right back down to humble land. So yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Man, I've never got a chance to do that before, but I really want to. I've really only done marijuana. I haven't experimented with much stuff, but I would love to do some mushrooms or any kind of psychedelic trips because it just sounds so appealing to just take yourself.
I think everyone should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think every single person should have at least one psychedelic experience in their life. Overwhelmingly, the evidence is there that it will be positive. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not in the moment, the lasting effects will somehow alter you in a upward direction in some way or another.
Right. That's what I've heard, man. I'm sold on it. I would love to do it.
I'm actually look, I'm wearing a shirt right now that just says acid on it.
That's awesome. We're going to jump into the 6 questions. I moved them to the beginning of the episodes now, and then we'll go back into talking about whatever the hell we want to talk about.
By all means.
Number 1, what movie can you watch over and over without ever getting tired of?
Dumb and Dumber. I've seen it. I don't know how many times. I can quote through the entire thing. It never will not be the funniest movie in the world to me.
Yeah, I still remember when the trailer came out when I was a kid. I was like, oh, this movie looks hilarious. And then we got to watch it from Blockbuster on VHS.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when I must have been 9, 10. Yeah. Somewhere in there. But yeah.
You're 35, right?
I am. Yeah.
Sorry,
now, if anyone who's seeing video is just what? I thought that guy was 70.
I'm a year older than you. Yeah, but I remember when Dumb and Dumber came out, man. It was one ahead of its time. It definitely started a new trend of comedy. That's why I think part 2, Dumb and Dumber 2, couldn't hold up to it, because it was it was such a classic moment in time of pushing comedy movies. It's kind of hard to do that because everything's been pushed so much.
They never had a chance in hell making a second one. No matter what they did, it just wasn't going to live up to the hype of the first one, especially doing it 20 years after the fact. I understand why. It just was one of those look, we don't need this, So
it was still entertaining, though. They did a good job. They did the best they could.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
There was parts on there that I thought were really funny, and then a lot of it was stretching, but it was like a reunion for that nostalgia feel.
Yeah, definitely. I was just glad to see Jeff Daniels play an idiot again because, almost every one of his roles, he's like this super intelligent, like important person. And
Right.
I would rather see him holding on to a toilet like it's a rocket ship about to take off, just going, oh,
Yeah, for sure. He's a music composer, I believe, too, huh? He's got a lot
Is
of
he?
talents. I think he has some kind of connection to composing music or a piano player. I don't know. I could be making this shit up. We'll fact check it. And
I
I'll
don't
post
know. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that'd
think
be
he
cool.
has some kind of a musical background. Number 2, what's the best practical joke that you've played on someone or that has been played on you?
One of my favorite ones I've ever done, and this is a very, very simple thing. We used to get old donuts from the gas station when I was in college down the street. I went to school in Pittsburgh, and there was a gas station down the street that would throw away their old donuts every morning. And so we would go there and ask for them while they were throwing away. And we would just throw them on balconies, whatever we would do. But one day we got the idea that we would take fishing line and we would go into our friend's room and we would hang all of the donuts with fishing line in his room. So when he opened the door to his room, it just looked like 30 donuts were floating and suspended in midair. And he's like a fat guy, that was funny for that reason. But it was more so funny just to see him open the door and be like, what the because at first glance, when for fishing line, if a donut is hanging still, you can't see the fishing line
Right.
until you get a little bit closer.
That's
So
a
it was
trip
just
on its
like,
own.
it was just like, first of all, like, I like that because no one gets hurt. It's just silly. It cost us no money. And it just allowed all of us to feel this moment of delight for a moment. I mean, for us, for me and my friend that set it up, we were laughing our asses off for an hour, just like doing it, like tying string to a donut and then putting it up in the ceiling. But, even when he opened the door, the first thing he did is he walked up and he just like realized what it was. And then he just took a bite out of one and was like, I mean, this is great. Can every morning be like this?
I'd probably do the same thing, man. I have a weakness for donuts.
Yeah, I mean, I've done other pranks that have like caused damage and things like that, but those aren't like, that's just a kid being stupid. This was actually like creative.
Yeah, that is very creative. What camera are you using, man? It's crystal clear. Is that your phone or?
It's an iPhone, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
It's an iPhone 10R, I think it is.
Okay, I think that's the same one I have. I need to switch to my damn iPhone, man. I bought a webcam for this podcasting shit, and I look like I'm on VHS. You look like DVD. It's ridiculous.
Dude, I do every Zoom on this thing just because my computer is old and I bought it just literally just to type up scripts on and things like that. And so this has been my Zoom for the past 7 months. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Well, are you using a program for your script writing?
No, I mean, I use it depends what I'm doing. I just use free ones. Like there's one called Trelby, and I used to use one called Celtics. But I just constantly switch that shit. But my computer is really just like a typing vessel, and I really don't do anything else with it.
Yeah, that's smart. That's cool. I use one called I think it's called Shriver.
Scrivener.
Yeah, that.
Scrivener. Yeah. I hear that's a really great program.
Yeah, I like it because I'm not a stand-up comic or anything. I just write stories and screenplay type stuff. But you can take, if I have a note, I want to do a note on one postcard, I can do it on another one, and I can kind of organize them after. It makes the writing part a lot easier. I guess for you, I think Joe Rogan used it too. I might have got the idea from him. For his stand-up, if he has an idea, he can move it around to what part of the jokes he wants to tell it.
Yeah, that's what I've come to understand. It's very good for compartmentalizing all of your stuff into different areas. Yeah, keeping it all together like a file, basically a file cabinet.
Yeah, which is a pain in the ass when you're writing too, because you could be in one zone doing one thing and you have to come back to it. So this moving it around makes it a lot easier for you. It's like having flashcards digitally.
Yeah.
They're not a sponsor, but if y'all want to sponsor me, shit, I just gave you an ad, so hook me up.
Yeah, Scrivener, you can go ahead and sponsor me too.
Yeah, sponsor please. I'll learn how to say your name, and you can sponsor me. Scrivener.
I don't know anything about you, but I will happily plug you on Willy's podcast. So please, by all means.
Heard it here first. Number 3, you could time travel one time there and back. Which time period would you choose? It can be anything in the past or in the future.
I'm going back to March 12th, 2020, and I'm buying stock in Zoom.
Oh,
that's
smart, man.
That's, I saw that question. I was like, ooh, do I want to go back and see dinosaurs? Do I want to do this? And I was like, no. Just take me 7 months ago and let me be one of those people that becomes a billionaire in the pandemic because I saw something before anyone else could. Because I know, I don't know exactly what their stock did. I don't follow this at all, but it must have ballooned into something. So I would take a bunch of money and I would just throw it at Zoom, and then I would just be sitting back during this pandemic, just enjoying every part of it.
Yeah, damn, that's good, man. Because before the pandemic, I think we were using Skype mostly for the I do two podcasts. We were using Skype a lot, but then I tried Zoom out. I was like, man, this actually works better for multiple guests. It's working a little bit better, and now everybody's using it for, like, my kids use it for school. It's just everywhere.
That's right. What's crazy is, like, there were other programs that were doing the exact same thing. Like, you would always see, like, Mega Meeting and all these are like a Go-To Meeting, I think, and all these things. For years, we've been seeing these commercials. What happened to any of those programs, and where did Zoom come from? They literally just created this thing, and they're like, and we're sliding right in at the perfect time, and here goes our company. It's pretty It was so fast that we all had to adapt to that. I mean, within a week, I had comedy shows on Zoom, and I was like learning how to figure it all out.
Yeah, that's a very good point, man. I think the name being easy to remember and to spell helps everybody. Like, just Zoom it, kind of like, FedEx it. Just the same mindset, something simple and easy to remember.
Yep.
So making some money with the Zoom.
7 months, I mean, look, I think we all wish if we could go back 7 months ago, there's a lot of things a lot of us would do differently really quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So
I'd like to get some of that Amazon stock, man. A few years
right?
back.
That'd be a good one. I was literally about to say hindsight is 2020, which is the most appropriate statement I think we could make right now.
It is. That's funny. That's bizarre on so many levels, man.
You're right.
I need to go on one of these trips, man. Your brain's just you're thinking outside the box.
I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, if you got the means, get the kids a babysitter for the night and just, go out. Yeah, go outside somewhere and just have yourself a time.
Yeah, I need to, man. I want to go into the Rocky Mountains and just lose my mind.
Perfect.
Number 4, what is something that really irritates you? One of your most unique pet peeves that you have?
I don't like when people make excuses constantly instead of accepting accountability. I used to be one of those people that would be like, well, I can't do this because blah, or, I would always have a reason why something was against me or I couldn't do something. And now I've just gotten to a point where I understand that anything is possible and I believe in myself. And I know that it's just going to take a lot of work to get myself to where I want to be, but that if I'm willing to do it, I will end up happier on the other side knowing that I've done it.
Yeah, that's
so
advice,
yeah. When somebody tells me something just like, well, I can't do it because I have anxiety, I'm just like, well, you have it because you're saying that. Like, yes, that's a very real thing, right. But you're not limited. You're not physically limited by it. You're telling yourself you're limited by it, which is allowing it to win. And I just think that we should, everyone just needs, no matter what your situation is, you can rise above it for the most part. I mean, there's very extreme examples, obviously, but
basically suck it up and get it done, huh? You want it?
Yeah. The thing is, people are always like, oh, I want to do that thing, but it's like, it's too hard. Like, I want to be a doctor, but like 8 years of school, it's like, yeah, everything good is hard. That's like, if it was, there's a great line in A League of Their Own, which is one of my favorite movies. I can also watch that movie again and again. But she's like, where Gina Davis says, it's just too hard. And Tom Hanks says, of course it's hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. And I just think,
Tom Hanks.
Thank you very much. Did anyone ever tell you look like a penis with a little hat on? It's just such a perfect, like analogy for life. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. And so that's
Right.
why, like, people, they you could look at where I am in my comedy career and be like, wow, like, I want to get there. Like, well, struggle your freaking ass off for
Put
10
the
plus
work in.
years, suck it up and go through terrible situations and 9-hour open mics so you can do 2 minutes, and driving 200 miles just so you can get a hamburger and tell jokes for 2 people, and eventually things will work out.
Yeah. Yeah. The comic life, man. I have so much respect for you guys. It's so brutal. And
I actually didn't realize. It's funny because most of the time when somebody asks me to do their podcast, they are a comedian. So I didn't realize you weren't a comedian. So I know this
I'm
might be
just a
boring to
fan.
your audience, but what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I just work, man. I'm in the oil field.
I just work? Yeah, what does that
I'm
mean?
nothing. I'm not famous. I just have a regular job, man.
That's what I'm asking though.
I'm
Like
just
the
a
answer's
dad.
not I just work. Like, so you do you do a labor intensive job in an oil field?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm in sales majority of the time. I'm actually laid off right now. I got laid off right at the pandemic, so I'm in between. I'm a loser right now, trying to find some more work. But
Hey man, we're all losers right now trying to find
Yeah.
more work. So, or are we winners that have taken a temporary hiatus to visit
I'm
the
on
loser
vacation.
department? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd rather look at it that way. It's like I'm staying in loser land for a little while, but only because my house is being remodeled over in Wintersville.
Yeah.
I'm a very person, so I don't let anything get me down if I can help it.
This is the first podcast you've done that's just an unknown, not a comic.
No, not the first one I've done. There's definitely been others, but I mean, it's just rare. I think it's rare that people outside of the entertainment industry, when they want to have a podcast, and I mean, I love it because I think, just having these conversations with people just really opens your mind up and really allows you to understand all different walks of life, and also just get these conversations out there. And also, honestly, what I tell people about like doing a podcast that's so great is like, I ask people, like, when was the last time you looked at someone in the eyes for like 60 to 90 minutes and didn't think about anything else and just had a conversation? And most people are like, I've never done that in my life. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's, it helps me grow to learn about all these other people.
Yeah, that's why I got into it. I have so many weird hobbies, and I just admire so many different types of people like yourself, and I just want to get to know these kind of people and kind of be the audience for those people like me that are just nobodies who want to talk to cool people and get to know them better.
First of all, don't call yourself a nobody, because if you were a nobody, I wouldn't be looking at a human right now and speaking to you. So first of all, I mean, you can have all the self-deprecation you want, but I'm also just going to be the one that goes like, hey, like, I agreed to do this. It's not just like, because if you're like, I'm a nobody, I'm like, then what am I doing here? How,
It's the nobody podcast.
Speak highly of yourself, man.
All right, I'll change that mindset. Welcome to the second biggest podcast on the planet. behind Joe Rogan.
Hello.
Today we're outside the castle
And I'm young
walls with the
Jamie.
peasants.
What do you need me to Google?
Yeah. All right, number 5. This is my favorite question. What is an item in your home that is special to you for sentimental reasons? Some people are sentimental, some people aren't.
And the thing is, I'm not sentimental at all, and I'm also not a material things person at all. I moved to California with a bag of clothes and a laptop, and I will die with a bag of clothes and a laptop. I don't like things cluttering like my space. And like, I live in a nice apartment. My fiance is a very good decorator, and we have like a good record collection and stuff. But for the most part, like I never want a thing. I want experiences. That being said,
Awesome. I
have a wonderful wardrobe, and there's a lot of pieces in it that if I lost them, I would just be upset overall, because I think like the wardrobe is an extension of my personality, and I wear a lot of very fun things. So if that went down, I'd be a little unhappy, because I'd have to try to replace a whole bunch of pieces that are basically irreplaceable because I have so many one-of-a-kind items. So my clothing, yeah.
That's really cool. That's a very fitting answer for you too, because you have such a unique look, and your whole I don't know, your brand basically, I guess we'll say, is really cool, and it adds a
Thanks,
lot to
man.
your humor.
I appreciate that. Like, that's the thing is, like, people see me on America's Got Talent, and like, that's not what I'm wearing all the time. Obviously,
Right.
like, I'm not going, and I'm not even going when I play clubs and stuff like that. When I go on the road, I'm not wearing a skin tight onesie and fur coats and shit. But I am wearing like a kimono and like, cool boots or something, like something that is authentically me, so that people, as soon as I walk out on stage, they're like, okay, I don't know what this person is. I'm not even sure if I like it yet, but I understand that he knows who he is. So it's easier and more genuine to listen to, I think, because you can immediately look at me and be like, okay, well, he's wearing a lasered up kimono. Like, clearly he's gonna have a good time,
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it, man. Don't ever change. Your whole thing is awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Last question for the 6 questions. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Oh man, I'm fortunate that I've been able to do a lot of very cool things in my life. I will say, trying to highline, which was actually just about a year ago today that I tried to do that. Do you know what slacklining is?
Is that like tightrope walking?
They're basically like loose tight ropes, essentially.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it's
wow.
a tightrope that moves, so you kind of move and flow with it. And highlining is when you do that at up at a very high height. So I attempted last year to do it between like a canyon about 75 feet off the ground. And I've done a lot. The thing is, like, when I looked at this question, I'm thinking like, well, there's comedy achievements, there's just like, relationship achievements, there's travel, there's so many cool things that I've been able to do. But
Right.
that is such a unique one that I had to really, really pick up my balls and be like, you're going to try this, and you're going to go out there and do it. And I didn't succeed. I did like get myself, I was wearing a harness. People ask me that all the time. Like, I'm not trying to die, but like, I was never able actually to walk on it, but I was able to like get myself out there and like get in position to like stand up. And I took what they call, it's whippers, basically the same thing that happens to a rock climber when they fall, when you just fall off and the rope catches you and you just swing and have to climb back up. So just doing that at 34 years old, and just telling myself it doesn't matter that you're scared, this is something that you are gonna try and do. And it's chosen fear. I'm choosing to. Nobody asked me to go out there and do that or put myself in that situation. In fact, the guys that I went with, I only met them that day. We connected through Instagram, and these guys they do it all the time. And they were like, "Oh, sure, man, we'll take you out. Like, you want to try it? We're happy to share the stoke." And I was like, "Okay."
You hit them up
And they
to do it? Like, you want to try it?
and they were super supportive, and I had an amazing day out there. I went out there in the same day. I went out on the line 2 separate times. And I mean, I can't even tell you, like, when you fall off, I mean, obviously the first time you fall, it is the most terrifying thing in the entire world. And then the leash catches you and you realize you're okay, and you're just swinging there. And then you have this beautiful view and you're just swinging and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. But then you have to grab the line, climb up the leash, grab back on, and try to flip yourself over onto it so you're sitting upright again. And I mean, by the time I did that, I felt like I'd been hit by a bus. Like, every muscle in my body was aching, and I just felt so sore. And I asked the guys when I got back, I was like, I exercise all the time. Like, how am I in this much pain? And they were like, oh, you never had to hang on for your life before, dude? And I was like, I guess not, because this is a very different kind of pain. And it took me probably a week and a half to like really not be feeling it anymore. And but I will say, like, that was the moment where I said, wow, I've been booed by 3,000 people on a stage for 7 minutes and walked out stronger than before. Now I've tried to walk on a 1-inch piece of webbing 75 feet above the ground, face my fear. And immediately I got back and was like, I'm ready to propose to my girlfriend of 10 plus years, something I never thought I was going to do, because I just realized, like, I was like, what am I afraid of? Well, I need to go conquer that too.
That's so awesome,
life changing.
Man. Jesus.
Thank you.
That so what it's called, highlining?
That's called high. I mean, you can still call it slacklining, but like highlining is when you're doing it at that level. And I mean, there's people. I mean, I have my friends that took me out there are incredible. They walk lines that are like, over 1,000 feet and stuff like that, and they do all kinds of tricks on them. I mean, they're out there crazy. As if like you like watching a 5-year-old kid on a trampoline. They are fearless. They don't care. They're bouncing all over that thing. They're hanging from it and rocking themselves back up. They're doing flips, and I'm just like, all I want to do is walk on it. I just want to stand up and walk on it.
Wow. That's
and
really
I'm definitely
cool
gonna go try again. I'm gonna try to highline again, and I'm really excited to try again. Now that it's been like a year out, I'm ready to go back out there and be like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. Now that you felt that crazy exhaustion from the adrenaline and the everything, are you going to train differently to do it? Are you going to do any kind of preparation training?
I mean, I don't know what else really I can do.
Hang off the side of a building?
Yeah, exactly. Just climb it all up and then climb back down. Just make my own Spider-Man film. The main thing I need to do is I do a lot of push-ups, but I need to do more pull-ups, because it's that whole feeling of like grabbing the line and getting yourself back. I mean, you have to imagine. So like, think about what an inch is, right? In your fingers. That's what you're trying to land on. And you're trying to literally hold on to this and then flip yourself over and stay on top. And the first time I went to do the flip, I literally went all the way around and ended up back underneath the line. Jesus. And I just was like, and every pore is sweating as profusely. Your mind is going 1,000,000 miles an hour because it's trying to overcome the fear and the danger level. And it's also going, why are you doing this to yourself? And you have to like master all of that just to relax and get yourself back to the point where you're like, I'm fine and I'm walking to that side,
Dude, that's intense, man.
Yeah, it's, I mean, other than like comedy, it's the most intense feeling I've ever had.
Yeah, that's like one of my biggest fears, is performing in front of people on a stage like you guys do. That's so crazy. And then you just said a minute ago, the AGT being booed by that many people. I just had Nikki Bond on my last episode, and she was talking about that as well. And you gave her advice about it as well, but I don't know how you guys recover from that, man. It's so traumatizing. I'm too much.
I mean, she kind of knew more than I did. I think that she was going to get booed, because her whole thing that her and I talked about is she was like, I don't really have an act. And I was like, well, you gotta have something. Like, you can't go out there with nothing, or they're really gonna buzz you very quickly. And she kind of knew that she was setting herself up for, I don't want to say for failure, but just to be like this, like one of those acts that just does something crazy and is kind of there, not because they're trying to win the show. Right. I knew it might go poorly, but what actually happened to me in that performance was far beyond anything I was expecting or I had prepared myself for, to be honest with you. I mean, is that the first time you saw me? Did you watch it back then?
Yeah, my wife and I have been watching it for the last few years. The first one was what, 2016, 17?
18.
Okay, yeah, we definitely saw you on there. And this last go around, I was excited to see you back. And I don't know how you guys do it, man. It's impressive. You do such a good job not showing that you're having an issue with it too. Like, you just keep flowing. It's so awesome. And I love that you come at the judges with the roast thing too. It makes it so much funnier.
I mean, you have to just know that you're going there to do a job and that you can't let anything fluster you. And especially like in the last performance, I had so many things against me because I didn't have an audience again. I hadn't been performing hardly at all for 6 months. I'd never tried these jokes out. Like the lights, I'm on the biggest stage. The show is live. I'm shooting live television. And I just like basically it's like an open mic for me. Like, is this going to work or not? And
That's
10 million
terrifying.
people are going to see it. And you just have to get yourself to a point when you're like, it doesn't matter. I know what I'm here to do and I'm not afraid of it. So let me just go out there, full confidence, just like dick in my hand, ready to just show them what I can do and that I'm not afraid of being on that stage. And I think that's what, like, all I want when you get to a point like that in comedy, because we do so many shows and you do so many performances. And when you get that opportunity, you want to be the best you've ever been. And I think one thing I can say is that I am very proud of myself for is that I do tend to be able to rise to the occasion. If something like that, that's what people ask me. They're like, are you terrified? I was like, no, I know what I need to do and I'm staying relaxed and I'm taking deep breaths. So when I walk out there, any nerves in my body will immediately turn into positive energy and I will be able to use them and just be like, glowing the entire time I'm up there. And you feel it, man. Like, I mean, it's kind of like the early, like taking a very mild psychedelic where your whole body is kind of just like moving in rhythm and you're kind of like, whoa, like I am in a flow state right now and nothing could possibly stop me. And that's kind of where I get myself to do those performances on like AGT.
Yeah, man, I've had a lot of weird experiences with public speaking type stuff in the work atmosphere. And at first I was horrible at it and hated it, but I've embraced it. I don't care anymore. I can talk and give presentations, whatever I need to do. But what you guys do on that stage, not just the people at the attendance there, you got people on TV watching you. It's just that overwhelms me so much and freaks me out. I don't know how you do it.
Well, you embrace it.
Yeah.
You give yourself to it, which again, I hate to keep bringing up the psychedelic thing, but it's the exact same thing.
No, I love it.
Whereas
Yeah.
when you're in a situation and maybe it seems overwhelming and you're in over your head, you can run from it or you can give into it and just become a part of what the overall experience is.
Yeah.
And in public speaking, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to get yourself over the fact that everyone is looking at you and they're all listening to you, and you just need to become the leader in that moment and realize that they're all looking and listening to you for a reason. It is your turn to talk for whatever reason it may be. So if you embrace that and you have fun with it, turn the fear into fun. And if you have fun, they will also have fun. That's one of my things on stage is and this is not to toot my own horn, I don't bomb very often. And I think part of it is because I don't allow myself to give in to a bomb. If I feel myself bombing, I'm going to go wacky and crazy and run around the room and bring people on stage. I'll do anything so that I start entertaining myself, at which point the audience will fall into it and they will also be entertained, because they're not going to let one guy have all the fun. They paid to see me. Why am I having all the fun? They want to do it too. So give them the opportunity to invite them into your world and let them play along too. And then everyone's happy.
Well said. So you're like harnessing the energy of the room and taking control of it and keeping it where you want it.
100%. You have to. That is, for when you are doing comedy, that is your room to lose. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's your room to win. Like if you're in a really shitty situation, like if you're in a sports bar during the playoffs and they won't turn the TV off and everyone's trying to watch the Broncos game. And I'm sorry, I said playoffs and then I said Broncos.
I'm from Louisiana. I'm not offended.
Oh, okay, good.
Saints are my team.
There you go. So it's one of those like where, that's a situation where yes, that you're probably going to lose. But if you're in a club and these people have gotten a babysitter, this is their night out, they came because they want to laugh, they want you to win. So as long as you also want to win, everyone's going to leave there a happier person.
That's really cool. I like how you broke that down.
Yeah.
Man, next time you're in Colorado, we need to do a trip together, man. Let's just go.
Bro, I'm trying to
Wander the
I'm
world.
trying to come out there.
Do
I'm
some
booked
shrooms.
because I love Colorado. It's one of my favorite places.
Gotta do
I'm booked in Lincoln, Nebraska in December, and you have to fly through Denver. So I'm trying to book shows in Denver on either side of it, which is what I did last time I played in Nebraska.
Cool.
So trying to figure it out, man.
Cool. Yeah. Let me know if I can help with that anyway, because I'm here. Be happy to help you line some stuff up.
Thank you.
All right, man. I do want to know about the pugs. Where's the love from the pugs come from?
So it's funny. Like, I was never a dog person growing up. I had like a dog like in my family and stuff, but I never had a great relationship with her. And a few years, about like 7 years ago, my girlfriend was like, hey, like we already lived together. She's like, I want to get a dog. And I was like, well, I don't want a dog. And she was like, well, you're not the one who's home alone every night. And I was like, there is no argument to that. I do not have a counterpoint. You're exactly right. So, okay. So she was like, well, if you do want a dog, what would you want? And I started thinking about it, and pugs are just like the funniest animal. They look silly. They have crazy personalities. And I just kind of thought, like, well, maybe that's the way to go. And so we started looking at them and instantly just fell in love, and very quickly we're able to adopt one. And then it just went from there. I mean, how quickly I went from not being a dog person to being this pug guy that people know was so fast. And a lot of it is just because, like, people be like, oh, you guys look alike and you're both silly and you're both weird. And I'm just like, yeah, I love this. And then we got a second one like a year and a half later. Like, an opportunity arose to adopt one from Korea, and we took it. And I just started allowing them to like infiltrate my personality and really lean into the fact that I love them so much. And then, it just kind of was like, well, how can I incorporate them into my jokes or into a project? And sure enough, then like the pug yoga calendar happened, which I don't know. Did you see? I'm sure you found that somewhere in your research.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's just another thing of like, lean into something that you love and you believe in, put effort into what you're making, and who knows where it's going to go. I mean, when I got that thing on the when I got a call from the Ellen show saying we want your pug calendar to put it on TV, it was like, what are you like? How did this happen? But when you put the effort into every aspect of what you're doing and you put love into it, then you just don't know. And and I saw in 2018, that's when I did the Pug Yoga calendar. It's also when I released my first stand-up album, my only one to date. I was supposed to record another one back in April, but something happened to stop that. But yeah, and then I ended up calling my album Hugs, Drugs, Pugs, and people were like, that's a joke, right? And I was like, I mean,
it's a comedy album.
yeah, it's an album, but they're like, why are you calling your album that? And I said, because those are the three things that opened my heart and expanded my mind. Hugging people, allowing people into your life and feeling a personal connection. Drugs, already talked about that enough. And then the pugs, same exact thing. They made me feel so much love inside my heart that I was like, these are the things. And this is if where this album is in this place in my life, this is like a timestamp. Every comedy album, I feel like, should be almost like a timestamp of where you were in your life. And every album in general, music too. And that's where I was. So I was like, this rhymes, this is silly, and it perfectly captures who I am as a person, those three things.
Very nice. I was thinking about recently, I'm nowhere near where I thought I'd be at this age, 36, when I was like, let's say I was 12 years old, picturing what I'd be like as an adult. Call this an adult, 36. I still feel like a kid mentally.
You're like, why am
looking.
I not orbiting the moon right now in a spaceship? What happened here?
Are you where you thought you would be as a kid, man? Because I'm nowhere near what I thought I would be the way I look, the way everything in my life. It's just so bizarre how life changes.
Well, I hope you're not where you are, but you're still in a very good place. Like it's a different place, but not necessarily a bad place. Like
Yeah,
you
definitely
haven't,
not bad,
you
just
haven't like
different.
disappointed yourself, right?
No, definitely just
Okay.
different, not bad. Yeah, I'm very happy with
Okay,
my
good.
life.
Okay, good. I was just making sure. I will say, I'm so much better than I ever thought I would be. Obviously I've been spouting positivity past however many minutes we've been talking, but for most of my life until I was about 22, I was a bitter, angry asshole, and I never had any motivation or aspirations to do anything. I would just figured I would be a homeless person or maybe a truck driver, and I didn't want to do anything because I was just so miserable and depressed. And so when I think about where I am now, if I told 17-year-old me, who is causing destruction, being rebellious, trying to shake up the world in a very negative way and bring people down all the time that are feeling good about themselves, if I told that person, like, hang on, dude, let me tell you some of the things you're going to do, some of the you're going to be performing with, some like any the overall life that you will get to lead, I would I'd be baffled, to be honest with you. If you told me that, like, oh, you live in California, you have this huge group of friends, you guys all travel together, you go to a ton of music festivals, you wear crazy clothing, you perform on stage with the heroes that you watched growing up, you've been on TV multiple times. When you walk down the street, sometimes people know who you are. And it's just like, I'd be like, what trip are you, like, how many mushrooms did I eat? What trip are you on? Like, there's no possible way that this person is going to end up here. And at some point, you take accountability, you flip your script, and something, for me, there was like a giant spark in me that just said, like, I don't want to live like this anymore. And how can I be better? And I've spent the past however many 12, 13 years just trying to figure out how I can be the best version of myself and present that to the world. And I think that's part of stand-up comedy. Taught me so much in that, because comedy is such a deep exploration of who you are. And that's what I tell young comics all the time. And I mean, younger than me, I'm still overall a young comic, but I tell
Right.
people, I'm just like, you need to think about, like, how this is your opportunity to present yourself in any way that you want. You could completely reinvent a persona of who you want to be on stage, or you could tell deep-seated truths about yourself, or you could just make up silly non sequitur one-liners and be that person and have a completely private life outside. But no matter what, this is your opportunity to show whatever you want to the world. And I think that's why when I get an opportunity to go a show like Roast Battle or America's Got Talent, the reason why I go so big is because that's my opportunity to do so. Like, that's my time to be as memorable as I possibly can. And also, it just makes everything more fun. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
definitely.
People look at what the shit I wear on, and they're like, why would you wear that? And I'm just like, because it's silly. Like,
the
it's
the
just
thought of you sitting sideways on that throne in that outfit too is like iconic to me now. I think it's so awesome. I'm so glad you did that.
I was very fortunate where the team at AGT, the whole production team, is very invested in making sure that you look good when you are at that level on the
Mhm.
show. And I really respect them for how far they allow me to go and how weird they let me be. But that was one thing where we were going over blocking. Like, I had to do a whole like blocking rehearsal to figure out the stage, and they gave me this throne, and they had a choreographer, and they were like, what if at this point you just turned and put your feet up? And that was all her doing. And I was like,
Oh, that's cool.
ooh, I like this. And she's like,
Yeah.
what if you then like stood up on it? And I was like, yeah, like, let's really use this thing, And yeah, I'm so glad that was like the still that like immediately went around, like that photo of me like with one leg kicked up, like reading the book, looking
Yeah.
over.
It's so great for
It's
your character.
Yeah, and exactly. And I like that you said character, because the thing is, that is a character. It's a
Right.
very, it's a super, it is like people think that that is me. That's a persona. That is
Right.
not who I am in the slightest, but it's just a very fun, hyperbolized version of what I could be if I was still this asshole, but I learned how to be creative with it and be silly with it.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the roasting, and this is a question that you didn't even ask, but the roasting really comes from me because I used to be this person and now I'm not anymore, but I still have all these really negative thoughts that brew inside me constantly, and my way of getting them out, like without harming anybody, is to just create these jokes and have this character that can kind of be this arrogant dick. And anyone who takes that seriously, honestly, is a moron. Like you,
Yeah.
like obviously you watch that show and you're like, oh, this is hilarious. He's just being this like uncomfortable dickhead. But other people watch that and they're like, how could this person think this is okay? Like, then they don't. It's like, dude, I'm a
Yeah.
court jester. What are you? What do you not realize?
I love that, man. It's so cool.
How do you take anybody seriously who's wearing a tail?
Yeah.
You know,
It's cool
like,
that you could channel that old way about you that you didn't like, that you changed and put into a more positive spin, but you're still making good humor out of it. It's really cool. You're
yeah,
flipping all
thanks.
your
I mean,
gifts.
that's really what you have to do, is like, no matter, all of us have flaws, all of us have faults, all of us have things we don't like about ourselves, but there's a way to channel that into a benefit instead of always being a negative. And I
Right.
think if you find the way to change it up, and sometimes all it is a mentality shift.
Hmm.
It's like, what does this thing cause me to know that maybe other people don't, because they don't have this problem? I mean,
Yeah.
I can't, I mean, I don't want to start listing all those examples, but the fact is our flaws make us beautiful. That's
Yeah.
what makes us different. And people, they're like, wow, if you look at a person, you're like, wow, that person, there looks like there's nothing wrong with them. It's like, I bet they're not that happy. I guarantee you they're not,
Yeah.
because they got to live up to something that is an impossible standard.
For sure. So with your look, where'd you come up with the idea to have that look? Because I love it and I don't want you to change it. And it's like, it reminds me of like 70s, early 80s comic kind of a guy. And it's
Which,
eccentric.
are you
It's
talking about
awesome.
my look, like in my face, or like my
The
outfits and stuff?
the hair, the mustache, the outfits, all that.
I've had this hair for a very long time. Probably since I was about, when I was like, it used to be like like a Jufro, like, and then I started letting it grow more, and the weight of it started to fall down. And so I've had the hair like this for probably 10, 12 years. But a couple of years ago is when the mustache came in. And the reason it came in is because I went to Burning Man, and I joined a camp at Burning Man called Music Savages. And their whole thing was like, you have to do like an application to join the camp. And one of their questions is, what are you going to name your mustache? And the symbol for the camp is a giant mustache. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm not just going to name my mustache. I'm going to grow one for this, like, because a lot of the people in the camp, they'll wear a fake one and stuff. I was like, I'll just grow a mustache. I've never had one before. And then
It's a
all these
damn good
people were like,
mustache too, man. I can't grow one. This is my best right here.
thank you. That's what I learned very quickly. Within 2 weeks, people were like, where did that come from? How do you have a full mustache right now? And then people started being like, I actually really like this look on you. This looks really good. And at first, people were telling me this, and so many people were telling me this. I was like, is anyone fucking with me? Does this look terrible? And everyone is just, I'm only hanging around with comedians. So they're all like, nah, it looks great. Keep it. Look at this dumb shit. You know what
Look
I
at
mean?
this jackass.
And then I started to really like it, and my fiance started to like it. I have a joke on my act that she says it's nice to, she saw it for the first time and said it's nice to look at a new face.
I saw
And
that. That's good.
yeah, and so it's just one of those lines of just like, I just started to really, I felt like it really rounded out my look with my hair and everything. It made me look a little bit older, but I also think it slimmed my face a little bit, and I really just kind of just like started being like, look, I'm already a wacky person. I might as well just like dive in a little bit more. And I'm never going to be one of those people that like twists it up or anything like that, or goes like super
Yeah.
hipster on it. I don't want like a full Fu Manchu, but just this it's very easy to maintain, and it was an easy change, and I could take it off anytime I want. I thought I was going to
Right.
have it for maybe like 6 months, and then I just kind of like was like, now I can't really imagine myself without it.
Yeah.
Um,
It'll feel
one of
really weird if you get rid of it, I'm sure.
Oh, it feels so weird. And I mean, how am I gonna like bite my hair anymore and then pull and bite off hairs? But I love what it did to me, to how it opened me up to even more kind of different roastable things. Because I personally love getting roasted myself, and this completely changed my appearance so that now I had a whole new set of jokes coming at me. And I mean, the things I've heard have just been just so hilarious. I mean, one of my favorites was, as soon as I grew it, my friend Luke Schwartz said, "You're the only person who grows a mustache and looks less like a pedophile." And I just thought that was immediately like a classic, But I mean, I could listen to jokes about myself all day.
Yeah, same here. I think that's why I like you so much, is I love roast humor. It's like the best to me, and you're so good at it. I'm definitely a big fan of yours. It's good shit.
Thanks. Well, I just think people, like I said it in my last AGT package, but like you can't take yourself so seriously. You have to be
Right.
able to laugh at yourself, and the more comfortable you are, then the easier it will be to take all these things, and you also are just going to be able to look at yourself and love yourself, which
Right.
took me forever. I spent most of my life looking in a mirror, fucking hating what I saw back. And now I look, and of course, there's some days where I'm like, oh, God, you got to get rid of this. But for the most part, I'm able to look at myself and be like, this is you, and
Yeah.
own it and love it.
Yeah, I feel like just talking to you and the vibe I get from you, like if there was like a meter for like the best version of Alex Hooper, I feel like you're like dialed in on it right now. You're at your peak of what you should be and what you should be doing, and like you're living your life the best of your ability. And it's very encouraging.
I hope so. I
It
really
kind of glows
appreciate
off
that.
of you. Yeah.
Good. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, that's what I'm shooting for. And the thing is, it's not by accident. I read a lot of like personal development books that give me a lot of tips about, visualization, and about how to conquer fear, and about all these things, about basically about just controlling your life and
Yeah.
understanding your role with other humans and the environment, and how to really create the ultimate version. And I think that's what we're all looking for, is how high can we take ourselves? And I say that in every sense of the word, because I've been super high sometimes. But
Likewise.
yeah, it's just, and right now is a very good time, because even though this has been overall like a very challenging year and a shitty one for many reasons, I've also been able to have my own successes and my own, and like, getting engaged this year, getting back on TV, getting to just take care of myself and relax and really think about who I am and who I want to be. And right now, I do just feel like I'm doing a very good job at checking in with myself, gratitude lists, like little journal entries of just like how I'm feeling, and getting myself to a point where I'm not allowing this year to win. I had depression come back for the first time ever in like 10 years. Over the past few months, I had days where it's just like, I do not want to get out of bed. I just want to wallow all day. And I had to relearn how to fight that again, because I hadn't dealt with it in so long.
Right.
But
I went through the same thing.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, you can either continue to be in this pity world for yourself, where you're going to give yourself excuses as to why you don't need to get out of bed. But what did we say before? What do I not like? Excuses.
Right.
Or I can take accountability, and I can say, no, get up, go on a fucking walk, read a book, and treat yourself with respect today, and treat your brain with respect, and then I can just hope that I've gotten myself, that I will continue to grow in this upward direction. And as long as I don't stop thinking about those things, then I shouldn't.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Are you going to try AGT again, or is that chapter closed?
I think it's closed. I think I made it as far as I made it on the show this year. I don't think they would take me back at this point. There was talk of like, man, wouldn't it be crazy if you did this every year? And I was like, I think they would get pretty sick of it pretty fast. I mean, I would
Yeah.
have to,
I'd
but
have to
then,
put you on the salary.
yeah, exactly, because that show pays
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah,
If they want that, they'd have to.
yeah, they
They'd have
got to
to
pay
put you on
for it
the
at this
payroll.
point. But that's the thing is, I think the last performance with the book and the throne was really a culmination of like the other two performances really like stepping up. And the one thing is like, if you watch the show, Howie Mandel is always saying, the further you go, you got to step it up every single time. Your last performance has to be so much better. And if there's one thing I can say about my last performance is it was such a huge step up from what I had done before. And I proved that I was creative and that, I was willing to go places where maybe other contestants were not. I was willing to think about this in a much bigger way than just, you have 90 seconds to perform comedy, go. And every part of it was just another element having to get approved and get added. And I think I got myself to a point on that show where if they asked me back, I would probably go. But I think we have reached a mutual place of like, you did really well, and take it and now go off and run another direction and take it wherever you need to go.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. You went through the first go around. They didn't get your vibe at first, it seems like, and you got eliminated, and then started to appreciate you. Everybody liked it, and you come back, and then you almost went to the end. It's just really awesome.
Yeah, and what I can say is I really hope that people watch that and that other comedians watch that and think, oh, I need to think bigger. I need to go beyond my just, oh, this is my looks like joke, and this is my relationship joke, and here's my shopping at the mall joke. I want people to think like about more things they could do to own that stage and own that moment. No one, I mean, I don't think anyone had ever done a roast like that before. Like,
I was just thinking that
doing,
no matter what, you're always going to be that guy, and that moment is always going to be yours. Nobody's going to replace that because it was so original and so unique. It's cool.
Yeah.
Out of all the competition stuff they have, the different talent.
But that's the thing is like, I mean, and it's not just about being a comedian. It's whatever you do in your life. If you have a really big opportunity, how big can you make it? How grand can you come up with? Like, can you think just so you really, people go, wow, like that, like way to take advantage of what you were given. And that's all I wanted in a year like this. And honestly, I think this year is a big reason why I had to think so big, is because I had the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was just like, man, there's not going to be an audience. Like my jokes are going to fall flat. How will they not? Oh, well, what if I made it more like a nursery rhyme? What if I made it more lyrical and more like almost like a song or a poem? And so many things like contributed to that. And yeah, I really I'm excited to see what people saw me do and think, how can they raise the bar even more than that?
Beautiful. What's next with you stand-up wise? I know it's rough as hell right now with this performing and everything, but do you have any gigs coming up?
Yeah, I mean, little things here and there. The Comedy Store, we're actually performing out the window. Like, so we're standing in the original room and there's a big window and we're performing out to like 15 people on the patio.
That's crazy.
So I'm doing that like once or twice a week. Like shows that are happening in parks and like backyards and things like that I did one on a beach last week. Things like that are happening. But I'm also very excited. I have last November, I went to London for a week and I had a couple friends come with me. I did a bunch of shows, and one of my friends is a filmmaker, and he filmed like the entire experience. And because I couldn't do my album in April, and I was actually going to do a special at a festival in September, and because I couldn't do either of those, he took all the footage he had and he turned it into like a 30-minute tour documentary. And
cool.
we were gonna and it looks great. It's me doing stand-up with like B-roll footage of us running around London underneath, and it's a really good watch. I was like, I personally, like when I saw it for the first time and when the final cut of it, I got so nostalgic of like, oh my god, look at me, I'm just hugging strangers and running around crowded streets eating cake and like performing. But I also realized that it was like, I normally hate watching myself. And anybody who likes watching themselves is a sociopath. So it's hard for me to watch. And I was watching this going, wow, I'm really enjoying watching this documentary of myself do stand up right now. So I was going to release it on my own, and now I have it out to a couple different larger channels, outlets,
Nice.
and I'm in talks with them to try to get one of them to pick it up and release it like on their YouTube or something. So I got that coming. I got my podcast coming back. I just started doing new episodes again. I had quit before the pandemic because I was doing it in studio, but now I'm doing it virtually. So I'm bringing my podcast, Achilles Heel, back. And just slowly but surely trying to just find opportunities to continue to grow and create and perform. This has been, I have a lot of energy in me, and if I don't find a way to release it, it comes out in negative ways. So the more I can just be out traveling and meeting strangers and trying to spread joy and happiness, the happier I am. So I know it will all come back eventually, like full force, but I still think we're a long way away from it really feeling like it's back. You know?
Well, it's kind of a new challenge for you guys, all the comics out there. You'll have to perform in all these bizarre situations. It's just all it's going to do is strengthen you guys, and the weak ones are going to fall off or spots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a ton of Zoom shows, man. Like, and I know a lot of comics that refuse to do them. They're like, dude, it's terrible. And I'm like, it's a chance to just write some new jokes and try them out. And maybe you'll hear a few people laugh through the Zoom, and then okay, well, that's got seeds of something. And because I was doing so many Zooms, then I started performing again live, like little by little, and I started taking those stage jokes to the stage and being like, oh, that one does work outside of me just staring at my phone. That's a good bit that I can bring out of this. And I think people that aren't doing it are kind of doing themselves a disservice because they're going to be so out of practice when it all comes back,
Yeah, that's terrifying. Being rusty as a comic, man, that's got to be so freaky.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you are a person who goes to comedy shows, please give us a break for a little while. Allow us to find ourselves again and be part of the process. Like, that's part of the fun of it, is just like I feel like if you don't live in LA or New York, you're never going to get to see your favorite comics like working on stuff. You're going to see finished products for the most part of them, either on tour or they're in a special that you're watching on Netflix. Well, right now, if a comic is coming to your city and they're doing like 25% capacity shows or whatever they may be doing, that comic is working, and you should be enamored to get to see the process of where a joke will start and where it will end up. It's an exciting thing, and most people don't get to see it. So I'll say, like, look, go to the comedy show and be supportive and have fun, but like, also, if it's not the best thing you've ever seen, give us a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't even think that way, because I don't know, I guess I was raised better. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that just don't get that kind of stuff. They don't see the big picture. You got to give these people time. They're in the kitchen right now practicing recipes and can't judge them yet.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like, if you're a cook, if you're a chef and you haven't cooked in 6 months, the first time you make it again, you might over season it a little bit. You might burn it a little bit, but that's give us a few tries. And I promise we will make the most gourmet, delicious thing you will ever eat, because we've all been lying dormant.
It's so exciting. That's
for sure. And the fact is, I feel like a dormant volcano that has gotten a couple of chances to explode, a few little spews of lava here and there, but I am really brewing right now to just erupt and not stop erupting until everything in my path is completely obliterated.
That's exciting.
I hope so. I hope that's not. People are like, I don't want to see that at all. I want to get out of your way.
Sounds terrifying. Where can everybody find you and support you? Where do you want us to go, man?
Hoopercomedy.com is the easiest place. You'll find my podcast there, my clips. Social media is all at Hooper Hair Puff. I keep it uniform across all my socials. So Hooper Hair Puff. And Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you Google Alex Hooper, I'm pretty sure I come up fairly quick because I've gotten messages from other Alex Hoopers that are very angry at me for having their name. And I literally had a person message me that just like, I hate that you have my name. And I was like, well, you better get over that real quick because it's going to keep on growing. And you're going to have a whole life of people going, Alex Hooper? Oh, like that weird comedian? And you better start saying yes. Like that weird comedian with a little bit more enthusiasm. Otherwise, you're going to look like a dick.
That's funny. I think there's a UFC fighter named Alex Hooper as well.
Is there really?
Yeah, or real similar name. I think it is Alex Hooper. I have to look that up.
Oh, well, I need to make sure that I stay far ahead of them and then never get up to like a McGregor type status where they will then trump me because I gotta.
No, you got that, man. You are the Alex Hooper.
I hope so.
If there is a UFC fighter named Alex Hooper, I'm going to put a picture of him right here, right above the pug, right now.
Yeah, please
do. If there isn't.
I love it, man. Well, this was great. Thank you so much for having me. And honestly, I gotta say, I'm super proud of you and stoked for you that you started a podcast and you're reaching out to strangers that that you enjoy like their art form or whatever they're doing, and you're just reaching out on a whim and saying, hey, do you want to do this? Because honestly, like you just learned, it can be that easy. You didn't limit yourself. You didn't say, well, I'm not going to be able to get that person, so I'm not even going to try. No limits. No limits. Shoot for the fucking moon, dude.
Go. Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate those kind words, and thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
It was
of course, dude.
It was a treat to get to know you.
Have a beautiful day.
You too. Have a good one, brother.